On today's show, it is still early July, but a little bit of a downtime with the Hawks, and I am joined on a two-part episode by my friend Tyler Jones, always a fan favorite. This is part one of two. It's coming to you right now.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1757 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Wednesday evening into Thursday. And today's podcast is brought to you by the folks at the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app right now, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. I also want to encourage you at the top of the podcast, as I always do, to make us your first listen each and every day here at Locked On Hawks. Check us out and subscribe anywhere you might find podcasts. That includes Apple and Spotify, as well as Overcast. If you're watching on YouTube, join us there as well on each and every episode of this podcast. Please like this episode and subscribe to the show on that platform. And today's show is going to be a two-parter with myself and fan favorite Tyler Jones. This is part one right now. Part two should be available in this same podcast feed as soon as part one is over. And we are recording, again, Wednesday evening, July 3rd into July 4th. I always tend to timestamp this time of year because there is so much going on. At least there could be so much going on around the Hawks. And by the way, I think it's going to be 14 episodes by the end of this two-parter in the last 12 days. So while the Hawks have been a little bit quiet since Friday night, not so much on this podcast. We are rolling along, going into the holiday. Hopefully this will be some extra kind of maybe travel listening or fireworks listening, etc. on July 4th. And then we'll see what happens with the Hawks later on this week. So without any further delay, here we go with part one of myself and Tyler Jones. I am joined once again by fan favorite Tyler Jones. Here is just to timestamp it again. It is Wednesday night as we're recording this podcast. At this time of year, you got to make sure you say what time the podcast is being recorded for if stuff breaks. Tyler, what's up? How are you?
I have a question, Brad. You know, as the biggest Hawks insider I know,
here we go.
Are the Hawks tanking and rebuilding? Like they traded, Dejounte Murray. You know, he averaged 22 plus points a game, however, 5 assists, 5 rebounds or something like that. And they got back some Dyson Daniels. I never heard of Dyson Daniels. Who is that guy? And the Lakers pick and another pick in 2027 that's unprotected. But what are the Hawks doing, Brad? I don't understand. I don't get it. I thought you told us they're trying to win next season, but then they trade Dejounte Murray for some unknown kid. What's happening?
I know you're trolling, which is fine, and I appreciate it deeply. I got a question today actually about our friends at FanDuel. Somebody sent me a question that was kind of toward this topic about hey, here are the FanDuel odds. Why are the Hawks so low? And because they're in the bottom 10 or something like that in FanDuel title odds. And my general thought was, people are overreacting to the Murray trade. And it doesn't mean that, and we can have this argument later if you want to, about whether they got better or worse or whatever. But I do know one thing. They did not get as much worse as people seem to think they did with the trade. And I get it. You alluded to it there. It's the name factor, and DeJounte's very good. It's the points per game. Daniels is not a prominently known player. I get it. I get all that stuff. But the Hawks are not rebuilding, to your point. They didn't. If they surprise me and the whole rest of the league and they turn around and trade Trey in the next week or two, then they're rebuilding. I think that we can sort of acknowledge that if they do that. Not going to happen, I don't think, at this point. So, a lot going on, a lot of takes flying, especially because, as you know, the Hawks haven't done anything since Friday night. And while it's only 5 days ago, it feels like an eternity to people. And look, I'll raise my hand. It would have been easier for me. Are the
Hawks going to do anything, Brad? They haven't done anything. What's going on? What's happening?
It would have been easier for me. I'll admit it would have been easier for me if the Hawks had made a trade or a signing or something on Monday and Tuesday just for content. Because yesterday's show was all right, we got to do a mailbag. There's nothing else going on. But yeah, it is kind of funny, and I poke fun at it. And I don't mean, people just want content. I mean, I think you said it online. I know I said it too. It's fine. I get it. But they did make a very, very big trade 5 days ago as we're recording this podcast. So they're not super quiet. But anyway, we have a lot to cover. You and I did a show before the draft. We did talk a lot about the prospects. So we have to do a lot of it. But I do want to get to the draft because it's been a while. And I'm trying to hold off on most of the post-draft stuff till Summer League because, of course, that loops in with Summer League when Risacher becomes the big story, right? That's what's going to happen again. Because I don't know about you in your circles. It feels like people are not even talking about Risacher anymore. He's the number one pick in the draft. It happened a week ago.
That's a big acquisition, guys. Like the number 1 overall pick, Zaccharie Risacher.
I get it. A lot's happened since then, but yeah.
Ronnie James is more important. We got to talk about.
Ronnie's made the rounds. So obviously you like Risacher. We talked about him a lot when you came on before. But now that we've had a week, what did you think of that whole process? They stuck there. They got their guy. I shared all kinds of stuff from Landry, what he said and all that. And by the way, people seem to like Risacher, like his first impression. Obviously, he's not a native English speaker, so it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but he obviously is pretty charismatic. You can kind of see that. Seems to be having fun, big smiles. He's really tall, which you can tell in pictures.
Yeah.
All those things.
You could tell that right away when like 6'7", without shoes, Nikola Djurišić, I believe.
Yes, Djurišić is the closest. The way that he said it was, without the accent was Djurišić. That's what I'm going with until I'm corrected. So we'll see.
Yeah. 6'7" Djurišić, and it looked like he was at least 3 inches taller. So that makes sense. He's listed at 6'10" with shoes. So, it's one thing you talk about. Zaccharie Risacher being, he's not a native English speaker. I kind of wish they let him when he was first drafted. On ESPN, it's a big deal. I kind of wish they allowed him, like, if somebody would have asked him a question in French first.
With French,
yeah. He would have answered it in French just to get his raw emotions without have him process the words that he's, trying to, articulate. Because, he seems fluent in English and like.
No, he is. I'm not saying that.
He has a clear accent and he's clear, it's probably he just needs practice because he's lived in France.
Well, I'll be the first to raise my hand. Like, I only speak one language, number one, and number two, if I was speaking my second language, I would probably want to be careful with what I was saying, even more so.
And that's just my point. And like, it's not like he was like you see the press conference, like he's still giving us good quotes.
And he's smiling. And he got, by the way, I think he got 2 questions in French, which I was happy about. There was somebody there covering him from France who was speaking to him in French at the intro presser, which I appreciated because he seemed to be obviously comfortable with that, which you would expect. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime, and Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA and Major League Baseball. Gametime is also a fantastic option for basketball tickets, baseball tickets, etc., and it's faster and easier with last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and the lowest possible price guarantee with Gametime. That makes them a great option across the board, make things easy for you as well when you're trying to buy tickets. I've been using Gametime for a long time now. It's come in handy for me at Braves games and Falcons games, as well as shows and concerts across Atlanta and the country. You save big when buying last-minute tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and much more. They have flash deals where you can actually save a ton of money and save even more when you choose a section. Actually, let them choose the tickets for you inside that section. There's also an awesome feature that I really enjoy when you actually toggle to show the total up front with no surprise fees when you get to the checkout screen at the very end of the process and get a panoramic view of your seats in the app before you buy them. You're getting the lowest possible price guarantee as well at Gametime. Take all of the guesswork out of buying tickets with the folks at the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app right now, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account and redeem that promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase with Gametime. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Basketball-wise. Right. Yeah. We did talk about him a little bit, but what do you think about it now? Has anything changed? Like, are you getting excited? Some people I think were more out on him. This is what always happens with fans of teams. People start, all right, now we're in because now he's our guy. But
even if it's a lie, guys, if you're a fan of a team, you will ride on that lie. You will ride on your guy. Like it's so it's just it's funny. I feel like my opinion hasn't changed. I'm high on him. I think he's going to be great. But I want to talk about an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
Because Andrew Kelly, during the draft process, talking to him, he was saying he was hearing a lot from people he was talking to, giving out Brandon Miller comps, and I just want to point this out to people. I don't even necessarily think they're similar type players, but more to Brandon Miller's more on ball, whereas Risacher is off ball. But I want to talk more about like their perception on draft between NBA circles and draft Twitter or the internet intelligentsia when it comes to draft takes. Like, I feel like it's a very similar vibe where, you know, the knock on Risacher is not a great athlete, struggled to score at the rim, and, you know, where's the star upside? And I feel like we've had this archetype of player the last 2 seasons with Risacher, then Miller before him, and then Keegan Murray before that, where if you remember, like the Kings got, after, you know, everybody was just demeaning the Kings pick to take Keegan Murray over Jaden Ivey. Like, how dare the Sacramento Kings take a 6'8" two-way forward over a point guard that doesn't have point guard skills? Like, how dare they do that, Brad? Like, so I just want people to understand, like, Risacher's game is never going to, like, from draft Twitter, it's just not exciting. Like, there's not much to talk about because he doesn't do the flashy plays. He doesn't have, you know, in the half court, he's not out there ISO balling. He's not out there creating for himself. But I talked about it whenever we last talked last week. I talked about Risacher, but I want to bring it up again because I looked at the numbers and I watched another game. JL Borg, the team he played for, they in Europe, you guys have to understand, they play egalitarian basketball, like in the truest sense. Not just like points are distributed evenly, minutes are also distributed evenly. So it's like that. Risacher was second on the team in minutes, but he only played 22 minutes a game. The first guy was like 24. The eighth guy is like 18. Like everybody plays. Everybody plays. Everybody has equal usage on the team. And so within that, you have your designated roles. And Risacher is very clear. You watch him. We talked about this a billion times. Like, it's clear he was the pure 3-and-D guy. So like he was guys, like on this team, he was second on the team with points scored. Like he averaged like 10 points a game. The leading scorer for the team averaged 12. This was a team, by the way, that went 42-16 between all competitions based on what Sports Ref was giving me, like 42-16. Right. This is a great basketball team in the highest league in France. Now, they didn't play in the Euro League. They played in Euro Cup, which is lower competition, but it's still good teams they played against. Plus, you know, the top French league in France. Like, this is good. This is better competition than the NCAA. In a role, like in a role in which he played well in. He was a good player, a good starter on a good team in a good league. When his role wasn't like, his role there is not going to be what his role is with the Hawks. The Hawks aren't just going to have Risacher only take like 3 threes a game, which is what he did. no even if he only playing 25 minutes, I promise you, he's going to be taking way more than 3 threes a game. Period. Oh, yeah. Based on we talked about the shot release, shot form, all that good stuff. But that's not what's exciting me. I'm gonna get back to the offense, but like the more I watched some more after he was drafted, I watched some more games. I think I talked about his FIBA 19 play, and then I watched a couple more games of him just in regular competition, Euro Cup, and in the top league in France. His off-ball defense is really good, guys. Like, I mean, he's on the P's and Q's. Like, he is always, almost to a fault sometimes, looking to help wherever he can. Like, make the right rotation, make the right read. He's always online defensively. Like, this is not an issue for him. You watch these other kids, like these other rookies, especially wings. Like, wings struggle so much with off-ball action. This is not like Risacher. This kid's been a pro since 16. He's been in the system, like he's been in a professional environment at the top highest league since he was 16 years old. He gets it. Like so he's done the film study. He's done he's so far advanced more than these other prospects that I feel like Hawks fans are going to be really happy with what they have with him. It's particularly off ball at his size. I'm not saying he's going to have be the player that Jason Tatum has become, but rookie year Jason Tatum was not some elite superstar, but he was a very good help defender and a very good catch and shoot 3-point shooter for his size. And he was part of a good winning team and a good culture and a good environment and helped that team be better right off the bat as a rookie. Not impressive, but I feel like his impact immediately for a team based on what I've seen defensively, combined with what I think he can do offensively, not only in the half court, but in transition, where I think he's at his best in transition. I think in summer league, he's going to have like a Jalen Johnson type. Wow, this kid's just all over the floor in transition. Like, he's getting transition dunks all the time, like transition layups. Like, he's going to dominate. I think he's going to do really well in transition summer, because summer league's like it's a chaotic environment where the elite, like the athletes who can dribble the ball up the floor as fast as somebody like Risacher can, really excel. So I think he's going to really show some Hawks fans some stuff that they might not be aware of, just because, like, again, like it's a low, like he played in a low scoring French league. Like, I want to harp on this. Like, the role that he showed on offense is not the role he's going to have in the NBA. So I wouldn't be concerned about the offense. The defense is what's impressive, because he's already good at a lot of areas, and he's very good on ball too as well. Like, he's kind of a complete player, and I'm excited based on.
No, that's what they hope for. I mean,
they got him for this, and then what they did getting somebody like Dyson Daniels, who we're going to talk about a bit later. Like this, Brad, the Hawks have a plan.
Well, that's the thing. So, right. So I know you and me and your co-host and my regular guest, Glenn Willis and Kevin, we've all talked about like the lack of organizational direction. Like, well, like not necessarily that they haven't had a plan, but they just were kind of on hold, it felt like, until now, basically. But yeah, I mean, and this is, I'll save this rabbit hole, but I pointed this out and got some pushback, but it seems like they've also done what people like us have called for around Trey for a long time as well. Like, if you were going to build with Trey, this is how you would do it. And it kind of flies in the face of we already made fun of the rebuild thing, but like, they're kind of doing what we wanted them to do the whole time with Trey, to build him around with defense and length and shooting and all those things. So no, I mean, we agree on Risacher. Like, he's got, like any rookie, he's got stuff he's got to figure out. He's got to get stronger, all those things, right? And they acknowledge that. It's the first thing Landry said that night on the draft when somebody asked him like what he's got to work on. He was like, he's got to get stronger. Yeah, I mean, that's how most rookies are, but especially, he's really skinny. You see him standing there. He looks young. Like, it is, because he is young. It is what it is. It's fine. But you're right. It's good to emphasize, and I've tried to do that too. He's played at a high-level professional league. People, I've already seen, I'm sure you have too, people throwing out the box score stats. Like, he only averaged 10 points a game. I don't care. You don't care based on what you just said. It is important that you actually watch him play in the team context. And yeah, I don't think he's going to be an on-ball star in the NBA. I don't think it's going to happen. But like, it's not impossible. And by the way, he doesn't have to be an on-ball star in the NBA. He doesn't have to be, especially to return value. So the half court,
like, look,
yeah, no, there's way. Yeah, I agree.
When I'm saying, like, in transition, there are things, like, especially either with the ball or without the ball, like the speed at which he's able to get the ball up the floor is impressive for somebody.
He can cover ground.
He covers a lot of ground. And he's comfortable finishing with either hand. The question is, if he can he finish through contact consistently?
That is
he does
big
it.
Question.
He does it better when he has a full head of steam.
There's some similarities, and look, Jalen's a much better athlete, so it's not a one, but Jalen's got a lot of the same things.
Yeah,
like,
it's similar.
Not the best finisher through contact. He's gotten better at it already, but that was not his number one thing in the half court in particular. If Jalen gets ahead of steam and decides he's going to go to the rim, he will dunk on you, which we've all seen that. But in the half court, that's one of his questions he's always had, is like, what he kind of likes to do that little fadeaway, and he'll drive people crazy. He can do that, but occasionally it's like, hey, Jalen, remember when you could just like go over that guy or go through that guy? Risacher is going to have that same problem. Right now he's not an aggressive finisher. That leads to some suboptimal finishing numbers. Synergy stats are not very good around the rim. Like it's all fixable. It's understandable. He's got to get stronger. He'll get more athletic, as most guys do when they get to the league. And the defense, like obviously you're speaking my language. People know this about me. Like I appreciate the defense quite a bit. Like he's much more NBA ready defensively than most players. Like it's funny. I keep getting this question on radio hits. Like, can he fix the defense? It's very open-ended. It's like, well,
individually, no. But
and that's what I say. It's like, it's especially as a rookie, like my line is always rookies are generally bad, and with very few exceptions. I do think he's more prepared to play in the NBA than most rookies are.
I'll say this: he'll help a lot more than what the Hawks have had the last couple.
Oh no, I think he can play a role right away on defense and do his job.
He already does the low man, like he does the low man. Brad,
that's what I'm saying.
I had to learn what low man is because I'm like, why are we so bad when the bigs up the floor now and John Collins and Jalen Johnson aren't in the game? Like, what's going on? And Glenn's like, well, low man is either
just
DeAndre
watch
Hunter,
Shady play. Watch Shady.
You'll learn low man. Watching Sadiq be the low man like that. I was like, this is just not gonna. You're just not gonna be able to win.
No, it's not gonna work.
Risacher, really good at all that stuff. Like
he
really
can already do that.
At the deep, tags the roller, close out on his man. Like just like good at all the little things, and he's also good at something that might indicate he might have some more defensive juice. Is that he's very good at avoiding screens when somebody's trying to set a screen on him.
No, his navigation is really good, especially for a guy his length.
And it doesn't show up that often in the French league because it's not the type of offense they run. But like in the NBA setting, that's going to be major, especially if he can potentially maybe guard guards or like smaller offensive players who need screens to get offense. Like if he could do that, stick to his man. That's not something the Hawks have had, period. Like DeAndre Hunter's bad at that.
I agree. And I think though it's not to go back to the team building thing, but individually also matters in the team context where he's got to get stronger to be on ball. Like that's one of the questions that I have, not a concern, but a question. It's like, okay, can he be your primary against Tatum or Luka or Jalen Brown? Name your high-level wing. Can he be the guy that you put on that guy regularly and hold up? That's a question people have, and it's a strength question. But I do believe, like you just said, in the help side stuff, the team stuff, and his ability to defend guards. And now the Hawks have a bunch of guys who can do that. Kobe Buffkin can already do that. Dyson Daniels is really, really, really good at that. And then Risacher, I think, is going to be able to do it too. So, yeah, you got Trey. We all understand the Trey thing. But if you have three guys, and I think they do have three guys now, maybe in the near term and in the long term, it can defend versatily. Daniels can guard 1 through 3, 1 through 4. Risacher, hopefully, multiple positions too. Buffkin can guard either guard spot. He's not huge, but like it really helps team building wise where you can actually play defense. And you and I have agreed on this in the past. I've said it again. I'll say it again now. Their number one issue the last 2 years has been perimeter point of attack defense. It's not even close to me. Like there are other issues too. I'm not saying they were perfect otherwise, but everything flowed through that on defense to lead to their terrible defense for the last several years. And he doesn't fix it on his own, but the combination of all these moves does point in the direction of like, hey, we know that was the problem, guys. We're not oblivious to it. And you throw resources at it. That's the thing. Like,
that's where we talk about Hawks have a plan. They haven't done. This is not the point of attack defensive issues has been a problem even during the Eastern Conference Finals team run. Like it was an issue.
No.
Then.
Yeah.
They needed to upgrade that position. Then they thought Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter could do it.
And they also thought Dejounte was going to do it as well. So that it's not that they haven't tried, but they, you're right.
But but the issue is when it doesn't work, they haven't been proactive enough in addressing the issue. Where it's like, or they don't give themselves another out. Like, listen to what we just said. We said 3 names: Buffkin, Risacher, and Vit Krejci. And it's
Daniels.
probably going to be and who?
And Daniels now.
Oh yeah, Dicey.
So that's you got 4 guys really now. Especially if you buy Veet, like they seem to buy Veet, like he's the 4th guy out of that group, but still, like that's another guy that they've thrown the problem at. I mean, obviously he's my guy, but like aside from DeLon Wright in the last 4 years, name their high level perimeter defenders.
They don't exist. Like Kevin Huerter, okay. Like the Hawks traded Kevin Huerter and got significantly worse at point of attack defense. Like
right.
Stop.
I mean, and even guys that work, even guys that have been good for them. Obviously Bogey's not a defender. Trey's what Trey is. Lou Williams did his job. Not a defender. Obviously, was actively bad defense. Like they've gotten guys who were not bad play. Huerter is not a great defender. He can hold up okay, but obviously he's not a stopper.
Nope.
But they haven't done it. So anyway, that's not the whole appeal of Risacher, but it's certainly part of the mix here. And I'm excited. I feel like people will hopefully start watching him again. And look, I don't know if he's like I know you talked about him in transition. I don't know if he's like the perfect summer league player because he's kind of a structure guy. I don't know if because he's like, you know how this.
Brad, he does need a point guard. He does need a point guard to set him up. And Kobe's going to play, which I think is going to help him for sure in summer league. But like, the guys that tend to like really, really pop in summer league are the guys who are on-ball players. And that's true, but also the guys who are able to get rebounds, blocks, steals, playing.
Oh, yeah, no. He'll do some stuff that we –
Jalen was not an on-ball guy. Like Jalen – all Jalen did, Brad, all Jalen did.
Oh, I know. And then
literally beat his man down the floor every time. Like it was literally like, you guys are too small. I'm faster than everybody here. I'm just going to beat you down the floor and dunk it every time. Nothing in the half court.
No, and that is summer league. Like there's a lot of summer league.
And I'm like Risacher, like I really don't think people realize how big he is and how fast he is. Like it's just going to be a lot of, hey, I'm open, just throw me the ball, in transition, like similar to what Josh Childress did for like 4 years in
baby, now you're speaking my language. My God,
you can score 12 points a game just doing that.
I do think that's not a bad comparison, especially like what if Josh Childress can shoot is like kind of Risacher in some way.
What if Josh Childress was a bomber from 3? Like
that's a really good player. People that are young don't remember how like Childress' game, but like basically it's if he could shoot at a high level, he would have been very, very good. And
Josh Childress was also a pretty good shooter from the corners. Josh Childress was,
but also different league,
was ahead of his time.
Different league too. Like it's 15 years ago. No one was shooting a lot of threes back then. It is what it is. But anyway, before we move on to the Murray trade, we're going to get there in a second. You want to do a minute on Djurišić? I know you like him. So what do you make of that selection?
So I want to talk about the process of them getting him because I feel like that's equally as important. They traded AJ Griffin, who I know people outside of Hawks who didn't watch the Hawks were like, why would the Hawks do that? They selling low on a player. And like, it's just one of those things. And you talked about, a lot of people talk about he just didn't have a home here anymore. Like the honest truth is that the Hawks considered Vít Krejci a better prospect than him during this season. And like,
there's so much nuance involved in it.
There's more stuff. Hard. But it's like during the season, guys, this is the reality. For 2 years since Quinn came, Quinn looked at AJ Griffin and he's like, okay, he's not a better shooter than Bogey. He's not a better defender than Bogey. He's not a better defender than DeAndre Hunter. He's not a better defender than Sadiq Bey.
Oh no! I mean,
when can I play him? When can I play him?
Do respect to AJ, who I actually think. And I said this on his kind of farewell. I think there's still a path to AJ if he can figure it out in the league because the shooting plays, I get all that. But you're right. I mean, I think it's almost underplayed how bad he is defensively. Due respect.
The defense was a disaster at Duke as well.
Right. It's never been good. It's never been good. And to his credit, under Nate, it was they papered over it. He played a lot as a rookie. It worked out pretty well but it was still like on the rookie curve. It's like, all right, you're okay for a rookie. We don't have to bury you. And also his processing. He didn't check the boxes Quinn wants, ideally, and then you throw in the off court stuff and everything else. He just kind of fell away. And I do understand people that I think are really smart who don't cover the Hawks every day are like, wait, why are the Hawks a team that's not like the joking part about the win now thing, but a team that's not trying to compete for the championship right now necessarily, why are they trading a 21-year-old wing who can shoot for nothing in their mind? For nothing. And I get it. It's like that. It does look weird. The optics of that trade, if you're not paying attention, are draft a guy 16 overall. He plays well as a rookie, falls out of the rotation, and you trade him for the 44th pick 2 years later. It doesn't look good. And I will fully acknowledge that. But if you paid attention in the last year closely to the Hawks like we did, it made a lot more sense. And again, I just said it, but I still think AJ might have a path in the league. And look, in 3 years, AJ could be a good rotation player somewhere, and people are going to be like, ha ha, Hawks traded him for nothing. And I'm going to say, I understood it then. I covered it. I know what happened. They were, by the way, they got close to trading AJ in February. I talked around it then, but he was on the block in February. It was not like this came out of the blue here. It just wasn't going to work. It's change of scenery, and this stuff happens. If you don't follow other teams, there's guys around the league like this where it's just not going to work that place. It's just not going to happen. You got to move them. They did it. Was it the greatest return in the world? No, but it would. Look, I'll say this: if they brought him back this year and he didn't play again, they would have got less.
Yeah,
like they would have got anything for him.
And I want people to remember something. So Cam Reddish, year 3. So after his one good game against the Bucks, where everybody's like, "Oh, Cam Reddish," and we were hyped, excited.
He made jumpers.
The Hawks were trying to trade him then, like full stop. Yeah. They were absolutely trying to trade him on draft day. They were just trying to get the first round pick because they were like, "This is not." It's not a good fit. Like it's just
they knew. That's just what it is. What it is. But
this AJ Griffin's situation is very similar, where it's like, he's had good games. He's had good games in his career, but you look at the totality of his career. Like to me, I looked at it this way: the Hawks traded away a lottery ticket that was never going to cash for them for a lottery ticket that might cash for them. In Jersey,
yeah,
because
it folds in. It folds into like they were doing both things at once. They were trying to trade AJ, or always taking the market on AJ, and they also did want to get back in the second round. And it happened in one transaction. Okay, that is all for part 1 of 2 with myself and Tyler Jones. Part 2 should be available in this same podcast feed right now. So go ahead and flip on over to that one and listen to that or watch that on your podcast player. Please subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, Overcast, as well as YouTube. Please follow me on Twitter if you'd like to at BT Rowland. Follow the show at Locked On Hawks. My written work is at patreon.com/BT Rowland. I really appreciate everyone listening to the podcast. Enjoy your holiday. And again, don't forget, part 2 available for you right now. We'll see you all next time.